Hello and welcome to the Aromatic Mystery School. I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer, and I want to tell you about a course, an aromethology course about the goddess Demeter. So I wrote this course after I had been studying the Melissae, who were bee priestesses, who were the priestesses of Demeter Core. The Kore is the maiden Persephone who was abducted down into the underworld. And my research took me winding backwards and forwards through many different disciplines to Jungian psychology. And he talks about how the Demeter archetype shows up in the personality as the mother goddess, which was fascinating to me. And then I encountered some work by a Jungian psychiatrist maybe, by a lady called Jean Shinoda Bolan. And she really pulled at the threads of these different personalities in a book called Goddesses in Every Woman. And she talks about how we have all of these different archetypes. And I was fascinated to see that I had a very strong archetype of Demeter and had been drawn to these priestesses. And as I explored this Demeter archetype, it struck me how helpful it would be for a lot of women who were perhaps starting to go through menopause to walk through these mysteries of Demeter from mother to crone. So the Demeter archetype she is the mother goddess, and how it turns up in our personalities is our expression to nurture. So for many of us that will be nurturing a child, but some women obviously are not lucky enough to have children or sadly lose children, but also our children go away. And I found this very difficult when when my daughter went to university. Even though I'd got another little baby at home, her going was really heartbreaking for me. And I realised that this love that I poured into the relationship had to change. Didn't need to take up as much time as it had done, and I was left with this hole in my life. And it wasn't just a hole of time, it was a psychological break that I was left behind. And so exploring the Demeter archetype, of looking at how Demeter is very good at pulling our strings in a really good way to make the best kind of mothers, or the people who are really good at caring for other people, as social workers, as nurses, as teachers, or tremendous business women who pour all of that nurturing into their businesses. But of course, kids go to university, they get married, they move out of home, budgets get cut, the social workers, nurses, no money, and so they are constrained of how much care they can give. They've too many people to deal with, and this becomes a real psychological disaster for some women. So Jung talks about how these psychological disasters affects women differently. So for example, some of these goddesses are affected by their relationships. Demeter is one of those. Her relationships with her children and her relationships with her mother, but also with men around her, are key to how she gets pulled different ways. Hera, the goddess Hera, Zeus's wife, is another one who's really, everything runs by her relationships. Now, Hera's way, when she gets angry, is to become spiteful. If you know anything about Greek mythology, you'll know that Hera does dreadful things to nymphs that Zeus has cavorted with. Never the man. It's never the man she goes after. He is Zeus, to be fair, but to other women. So this is her pathology, if you like. Demeter's pathology is her anger. She gets absolutely furious, but also she withdraws her power. Demeter, when her daughter was abducted, withdrew her power of Thea and pulled the fertility from the earth. She made the earth starve. She was so angry. And we can really kind of feel our way into how we can feel like this when we're in menopause. Also, PMT. I went through this phase over and over and over in PMT. So if you recognise this in yourself, I think you'll find it fascinating to explore how she's pulling your strings, how she's stopping you moving forward in life, how she's preventing you from going after jobs, how she's preventing you from becoming that sort of lover archetype, because we want to bring Aphrodite forward to do that, or we want to bring Athena forward to that. But also, what I found really interesting was when I was able to observe people with different archetypes going on around me, I was like, oh, she's an Athena archetype. Right, when somebody asks me to do something and I can't say no, which is a Demeter thing, not being able to say no, how does she deal with it? What does she say? I'm not giving it away. Listening, observing to how to listen to other women to be able to go, aha, I never thought of saying that. It's really fascinating to see how you can fit them on. And to be able to bring through a new aspect of your life. So we work over 4 weeks in this course. There's quite a lot of videos to get through, but you can do it in your own time. The first video, it's up to you whether you watch it or not. The first video is about the benefits of inhaling essential oils, because whilst we're talking about what we're doing with the goddess, we are inhaling essential oils, and there is so much tremendous proof for how good that is for you. And I go through the science of, right, well, what does it affect in the body? How can we help ourselves? And particularly with menopausal symptoms, it's a tremendous way to attach that. But anxiety, depression, sleep, pain, all of those are helped by a protocol of inhaling essential oils. And that's what we're going to be doing. So if you want to watch that video, that's in there, all about the science of inhaling essential oils. There's also a video there that tells you the story of Demeter and Persephone, because I don't want to keep doing it over and over again. But then we work over 4 weeks. So the first, so what we observe all the way through is looking to try to identify these traits within ourselves and how they're holding us back. And of course, it's different for everybody, but also each week there is a meditation to do. Now, there's 4 meditations plus 1 other. So I'll talk about the 4 meditations first, then the other. We use grasses and cereals because the Roman name for Demeter is Ceres, and she is goddess of the cereal harvest. So she's goddess of abundance as well as mothering and nurturing and all of those things. We use grasses to begin with, Palma rosa. It is a grass, even though it doesn't sound like one. Lemongrass. We use coriander seed and black pepper. One of them each different week. So we've got those 4, plus we have another video that we can use at the beginning. And that first video is called Voice of the Beehive, because what you're essentially doing is moving into a bee priestess world here, to understand some of the stuff that the Melisai did with Demeter. So you need to go into the beehive, and to go into the beehive you need to use Melissa, or lemongrass works. If you're attracting a swarm, you use those. And so if you don't have Melissa, don't go out and buy it. Buy the others. They're all very relatively cheap oils, inexpensive, but Melissa is not. Use the lemongrass for that first one, and you'll start to feel the shift of energy as you move from this reality into the bee kingdom. And once you're there, you'll start to understand, oh, okay, we work in a different way here. And Demeter's world is absolutely fascinating. And you'll go and meet Persephone, who is the goddess of the underworld. She's her daughter. And while she feels terrifying to go and visit, when you meet her, you'll realise she's just lovely. She's such a lovely energy to work with. And although there wasn't a cult of Demeter, sorry, there's a massive cult of Demeter, there wasn't a cult of Persephone per se. She was a very beloved goddess, and when you start to move into that vibration, you'll understand why. So Demeter, I have run this as a group before. I've done lots of one-to-one training of it, but I'm very happy that I'll be able to put these onto videos now so that you can all use them at home. And thank you in advance for listening to my video, and enjoy the aromathology and meeting the Demeter Goddess.